All right, today is May 27th, 2022. My name is Sonia He, and today I am interviewing Ms. Hyungja Shin Norman for the Houston Asian American Archive. Thank you so much for your time today, Mrs. Norman. First, could you tell me a little bit about your early life? When and where were you born?
Oh, okay. I was born in South Korea. When?
Yes.
1968.
1968, all right. And could you kind of describe the household you grew up in?
Oh, okay.
Parents or grandparents?
Okay. What that is long time ago. My parents has 9 children. Okay, I am number 7. But my grandparents had 8 children. At the very beginning, they lived same town. But when they grow up, they moved out to cities, right? But basically, we live in the same town. And my grandmother, I remember my grandmother, she also lived very close to my home. So we frequently we stop by my grandmother's house. So anytime. Yeah. Yes. My grandmother has a big front yard. So I remember she grew tomatoes and vegetables. Yeah. So already things to do over there.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind me asking, what was the name of that town?
Oh, my town is so small. The Gudam.
Okay. And did you have a lot of neighbors growing up? What was the neighborhood of your town like? Did you have a lot of friends that you hung out with when you were a child?
Okay. Gudam is like a center of a commercial hub around the surrounding area. Okay, so in my father was a butcher. We had a meat shop, right? So we sold meat, and then my friend's house. Their parents are also shop owners, small business owners in Gudam. And then, yes, I have many friends. We went to same elementary school, same middle school. And then when we grow up, we have to go to high school. Our town does not have big schools, like high schools, but only we had the elementary school. So from elementary school, when we go to middle school, we have to go 30 minutes away. There is a bigger town, right, in surrounding area. So every small towns kid come to bigger towns school. That our middle school located over there from 30 minutes from our hometown. So yeah, and then high school, I have to go 1 hour away from home. So back then we did not have much public transportation. Okay, not very frequently can use this public transportation. So we have to stay high school away from home. So we have to manage our life by ourselves. So we have a small room or small kitchen, And then we basically like had a small apartment. It's not apartment, but small room and then restroom and kitchen. So away from home. So only weekend we can come back. Mhm. And then holiday, we have to go to bigger city. Each time we have to be away from home and then become a more independent.
Okay, so you became pretty independent when you were younger then.
That's correct.
Mhm. All right.
Sonia, can I
Mhm.
talk to my friends? In Gudam, we know everybody, right? It's a small town, small village. So almost 6 years we saw each other every day at school and after school. So even weekend, just we hang out together, visiting our friend home. So we play together, and then when youngsters sit down together and then playing games like 1, 2, 3, 4, or something like that, So that was a very rich memory.
I'm glad, yes.
They are lifelong friends.
Mm-hmm. Are you still in contact with the friends from your childhood? Do you still call them or see them occasionally?
No. Okay, when I go back to Korea, I call them.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to meet. But here, I was so busy having family and raising kids and studying. Until now, I was quite busy, so I didn't do much to reach out my old friend. But whenever I go back to Korea, so I always reach out to them.
That's very nice.
Mm.
You mentioned that your father was a butcher.
Mhm.
What was your mother's occupation? What did she do?
My mother is superwoman. Because she has a husband is a butcher, she has to help everything what he does, right? So my mom is a housewife, and then I can say she was a co-owner of a butcher shop, and then we also run the restaurant. So my mom ran restaurant. Also, she was a farmer. she had to do everything.
Yes, definitely a superwoman. Yes.
On top of raising kid, 9 kids.
Very nice. And what were some of the values your parents emphasized?
My father has a very, he has empathy for people who do not have food, place to go, not having place to go. So what I learned from my father is that kind of thing, helping others.
Very nice.
My mother, patience. Patience, and then never complain anything.
All right. And then I guess transitioning into kind of college and your career,
Mhm.
um, where did you go to college and then what did you study in college?
Hey, yes, I went to Seoul. Seoul is capital of South Korea. It's it's long away from home. So I went to university, Hankuk University of Foreign Studies. I studied Spanish over there.
Okay.
Mm.
Before we continue, I wanted to ask, did you want to take a couple minutes? Take a few seconds?
Oh yeah, okay.
I know some of these questions can be a little emotional, so
Mm.
um,
Yeah, I mean always um, when we live busy every day, we do not sit down and think about these kind of things, right?
mhm,
When you suddenly you have a think, and then we become. I just I think just what is it? Sometimes we think our parents didn't give much to us,
mhm,
but but that is not very true. It's always it's very nice to reflecting what
mhm.
how was my life back then, where I come from. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely something as someone who is a child of immigrants that I can relate to. I feel like because leaving
Mm.
home, leaving parents, moving
Mm.
far away. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And you said you studied Spanish.
Mhm.
What made you want to study Spanish? Why Spanish? Why not other languages or other subjects?
Ooh. Mm. Okay, back then in 1980s, in Korea, we learning Spanish is quite uh, popular. Or because many people, many people and many companies are going to South America. To go South America, you needed to speak Spanish, right? So it, I can say demand was high. If you study and speak good Spanish, you can find a job in anywhere, in become big company, and then even you can go to the South America. That I think that drove me to study Spanish, I think.
Mm, okay. And did you have a particular industry you wanted to work in? Was it business? Was it engineering? Was it finance? Like, what did you want to do? Like, what kind of company did you want to go into?
I always wanted to be a diplomat. I mean, public service, you know. So after graduate to college, I went to South America as a uh, Korean Peace Corps. Like, do you know Peace Corps in America? Uh, American young people go to third country to help indigenous people or uh, poor country, right? So that was my ideal, So I went to South America, Bolivia, for 2 years to help people. Actually, I taught Korean over there in the college. So I think for me always my interest was helping people and contribute my talent in some way to helping uh, people who helping people. Yeah.
Mhm. That's a very good passion, very good motivation to help others. So after Bolivia, did you go back to Korea or did you immigrate to the US? So what happened after you were in Bolivia?
Actually, okay. In Bolivia, I met my future husband. He's an American. So I went after my assignment. I went back to Korea for short period, and he invited me to come to Chicago for his family's 4th of July celebration. And then, yeah, I came to Chicago to celebrate 4th of July. Yeah. After that, we went, he was actually working in Trinidad and Tobago in Caribbean. So later on, I joined him in Trinidad and Tobago. And actually, we married there in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow. What year did y'all meet and what year did you guys get married?
I met my husband in 1997. We got married in 1998. And then, so 1999, December, we came to United States through Miami.
Okay.
Mm.
And when you started living in the US, was there like a big culture shock? Were there any surprises as to living here? What was it like when you first moved?
Okay. Culture shock. Yeah, there are many culture shock. Okay. Possible, I have to, okay. Supermarket. When we go to supermarket near Galleria, I lived in Galleria in small apartment. Okay. There are so many things, so many cereals. So always I like to give this example. Koreans, we only eat Fuji apple. But even apples, there are so many different type of apples. That was a very surprise. And I have to, I am very, I like to walk around there, okay? Normally I go a lot of times just go somewhere by walking. But here, it's very difficult. But I did not have a car for many years. So I have to plan with my husband. When I really need a car, maybe I have to take my husband to his office early morning. And I usually his car, and then just I do things, and afternoon I have to pick him up. That kind of things. Also, I didn't have anybody, At the beginning, for me, okay. But somehow my husband's company, his co-workers' wives, we met in Trinidad. When they came back, we actually continued to meet and socialize. So later on, I tried to find a Korean church because I'm Korean, and So every Koreans go to church. So I try to find the church, but it's maybe 6 months. I did not know which church I have to go, so I have to search. So I was almost alone, just with my husband.
Building the first social connections, I guess, when you move to a new country is a little hard.
That's true.
What city did you move to when you first came to the US? Was it Miami or did you move to Chicago?
Oh, we came to Houston.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Did your husband have work here? Is that why you came to Houston?
Yes. He was working BP.
Mm,
BP.
okay. And so when you came to Houston, did you decide to stay at home for a little bit, or did you go look for a job? Like, did you have a first job when you came to Houston?
When I came to Houston, I was pregnant very early stage, so I have to stay few months at home, and then I decided to go to language school. So I'm not sure how many months I attended language school, but I learned English, and then I think before I gave birth, I continued to study English. After that, after babies, actually I didn't look for a job or anything, but I raised a kid. Okay, so my husband also, he frequently just traveled, so I stay home with my kid. But when I was over 40 years old, I decided to go back to school. When my son are just when they did not need my help greatly anymore, so I decided to go back to school. So I studied Houston Community College, learning English and then taking math class, algebra. No, I think pre-algebra, After that, I finished associate degree in Houston Community College, and then 1 year I rested, but I continued to study paralegal program in University of Houston's continuing education. That was almost 4 months or 12 weeks training. Yeah, after that, I actually transferred to University of Houston main campus.
Okay. And did you continue studying to become a paralegal, or did you decide to pursue another degree from the University of Houston?
At University of Houston, I studied political science. Political science. Yeah, my original goal was going to law school, but I changed my mind. So, because English was still a hurdle to me, obstacle. So going law school is quite challenging, and I decided, okay, no more law school, but why don't I use what I learned?
And how did you decide to use Learn? Did you when you joined Uri Juntos, or did you do something before?
Oh, before this one is 2015. I graduated from University of Houston, and since then I just got involved with the community activities. So I joined the Korean American Association's board. I become a board member, and then I helped running Korean American grassroots internship program for high schoolers to learn about civic participation and civic engagement. So we recruited 13 high schoolers. So we did a lot of, that summer, we did a lot of community service work. Okay? I took kid. This one was, this program was not well prepared, but so we have to do a lot of community services. I took them Houston Food Bank many times to serve, so they can have volunteer service hours. And then Children's Museum, library, a lot of service work, okay? So they can have more service hours. After that, we went to Washington, D.C. to attend the Korean American Grassroots Conference. So we visited Houston's Congress members. So my internet is not quite stable at this moment. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. You were frozen for a little bit, but I can hear you now. You were saying that you went to Washington, D.C. to talk to the Congress members, and then I think it got cut off after that.
Oh, yeah. After that, I really become really got involved with the civic engagement, voting, and get out the vote effort.
Okay. So kind of moving back, going back a little bit, what made you interested in civic engagement? And was this because you wanted to help others, like you were mentioning, after college, or is it because this is something related to legal matters like law that you were interested in pursuing but ended up not? Like what got you into civic engagement in particular and grassroots movements?
Oh, civic engagement. I think we do not participate in civic engagement. That is a failure. Without that, if we do not participate, what I learned, we do not get anything. So that is how when I compare, when I see Chinese Community Center and Vietnamese Community Center, they provide a lot of services. But Korean community, we do not provide any services. That kind of things is unacceptable. Also, our community, when I meet our seniors, I work a lot of times with the seniors. They are really low income. They really need help. Okay, but I cannot help everybody, you know. So we have to have some kind of organization. I want to do these kind of things, but I cannot do by myself. So we need to do these kind of things together. Okay, well, even Korean community, and then we want to work with other Asians, then we can bring changes. That's how I felt, So we do not get our share. That's my thing. We didn't get anything, so I want my share, our share. That is how I got involved in this. So to do that, we need to elect our officials who actually help us. How we do that? By voting, participating in civic engagement. That's what I learned from college. Okay. In America, actually.
Yeah, voting is definitely a big thing to consider, especially since there's a lot of Asian Americans in general. I feel like not just Koreans or Chinese or Vietnamese, but a lot of people who don't feel like they need to vote. So can you talk to me a little bit about the difficulties of advocating for people to vote? What are some of the challenges trying to?
Challenges, okay, possible. Everybody is very busy. So we do not think we are busy to get by every day. Okay, so we do not think this is important. That is difficult. People not knowing importance of voting and civic engagement. That is important. That is difficult. Another thing is language barrier. As you see, in Harris County, we can find 4 different languages, right? English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. But even we want to vote, there is no Koreans, right? No Korean sample ballot. Okay, so that is difficult. That I think that is I see the most challenging thing. So to overcome that kind of things, so we have to get out the vote and then demand we need Korean voting, Korean ballot. Okay, so until we reach out certain numbers, I think our struggle will continue.
When you say certain numbers, do you mean population-wise or voting-wise?
Okay, this is what I understand. 10,000, I think, eligible voters who do not speak and write English, then they can, a county have to provide Korean language in their ballot.
Okay. And so in some of the materials you sent over, you said that there was difficulties allowing translators into voting booths. Can you kind of talk about this problem and why that is a problem, seeing that there's no Korean language ballot?
Okay, Sonia, can you tell me once again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in one of the articles you sent over, you mentioned that it was difficult getting Korean translators into the voting booth with the voters.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of talk about why this is a problem, why we need translators allowed when there's no Korean language on the ballot.
I think language assistance is very important. because Harris County does not provide any Korean ballet, right? So normally who need language assistance? Seniors. Seniors need language assistance. So having just language assistance is important, but also, you know, when you go someplace in the government building, just knowing you do not understand what they said, what is going to happen, that gives a lot of anxiety. But if you have someone who can, when you have a question, easily can explain, and then just like moral support, you know. So that gives people confidence. That is why for me, it is so important. Sometimes, they do not need a lot of assistance, but they need courage. So we provide being together, not being alone at the polling location. I think that gives a lot of confidence to our people, so they can, whenever whoever experience this kind of experience, they come back to vote, because they know when they go to this polling location, they have somebody, okay, to get assistance. So for me, that is the main thing. Of course, just we help how to use a machine and then everything, but providing confidence to our voters who do not speak English.
Mhm. Yeah, confidence is a lot, especially when you don't really understand the language. Yeah. Okay, so could you tell me a little bit about Uri Juntos? Like, what does the name mean? What is the mission of the organization? When did it start? How did you become involved?
Oh, okay. I'm a founder of Uri Juntos. We started Uri Juntos 2021 after we successfully complete the 2020 election and 22 census. And the Uri Juntos is like Uri is Korean. Uri means we. Juntos means together in Spanish. So Korean and Spanish, we together. It means we go together or we rise up together, something like that. Because I saw the need of working together in the Asians and Latino communities. Because where our office is, Spring Branch, a lot of times there are many Latino community actually come to our Korean Community Center to rent the building. That is how I figured out, oh, people need these kind of things. So that's how I come up with the Uri Juntos name. And then Uri Juntos is a community-based organization founded by the community members like me and then my friend. Okay, so how can we help our community? Not only Korean community, Asian community, immigrant community, and all Texans to achieve racial and economic and immigrant justice. Something like that.
Okay, very nice. And you said your office is based in Spring Branch?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then what is your role as a founder? Or do you have another title like president or a board member? What do you do for Wood Juntos?
우리 훈투스 is I'm an executive director, but I am also a board member of Korean American Association and Community Center of Houston. So I serve many Korean community, a lot of things. Okay, my role is I'm a visionary. I think big things. How to connect that? What can we do for connect to Korean community and then mainstream, and how to connect to our community elected officials, how to connect to USCIS citizenship service, and then that kind of things. You know, my goal is, what I do is this: we need help. Our seniors need this, but we do not speak good English. But you do not provide any Korean services. What can we do? Can we provide any translation or anything? So how can you help us? That is my thing. So also working with many different organizations in Asian community, like Chinese Community Center, BPSOS, MGAGE, Houston in Action, and a lot of different immigrant organizations in Texas and also Houston, top Texas Organizing Project, Workers Defense Project, PL, and Unidad 11. And actually, we are also working a lot of times in Houston Endowment projects. So I go a lot of meetings to find out our common ground where we can work together. But I always represent the Korean community. But from now on, we are representing beyond the Korean community. Okay, so whenever need is there, we want to step up.
That's a very good goal. Does Wood Juntos work specifically for voter turnout, or does it work in all areas of community service and engagement?
We are doing year-round voter engagement. First of all, Korean community does not provide any services. That's what I told, right? But Wood Juntos is now providing services. So our focus group is first generation Korean speaking Korean immigrant, right? So for them, a lot of things are obstacles. Like they bring letters, okay, letters. And then we read into Korean, English into Korean. You know, we translate a lot of things for them, and then we make a hospital appointment for them. And then whenever they need a translation, when they are at the hospital, so they call us, and then we translate, we provide translation. We provide Medicaid, especially Korean seniors are they have a limited income. So we do provide Medicaid application process. And then what we do is, in the future, what we like to do is this. So whenever people come to our office, we help this, but it doesn't end there. Then we provide a service to do greater work, like voter turnout. So we ask people, are you U.S. citizen? Have you voted if you don't, this is very important. So why don't you register vote? Okay. So we help people register vote. And then election comes, hey, let's get out the vote.
Yeah.
But for me, most important thing is citizenship. Because many people who has a permanent residence, I had a class of immigration class with a Catholic charity to become a DOJ, Department of Justice accredited representative. Okay, permanent resident mean nothing. When you commit certain crimes, your permanent residence cannot protect you. You can be deportable. So that kind of things is an eye-opening moment. I need to tell people, you need to become a US citizen as soon as possible when you are ready, okay? So do not wait anything, do not wait. So what we want to do is helping people become a citizen by providing, helping filling out N400. We cannot do that yet, but that's my goal. So we provided citizenship class, and then when they needed translators, when they go to citizenship interview, we go with them and help them to become a US citizen. So we are building the pipeline, permanent resident and become a citizen, and an active citizen who vote in American political system. That is what I like to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't realize.
That is what Uri Juntos is doing. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't realize that there was a falling gap where people who are becoming permanent residents aren't pursuing a citizenship. That wasn't something I knew. That's very interesting.
There are many people, especially older generations. I think a lot of people, okay, I cannot remember numbers. That's a lot of numbers. So at this moment, what we are doing is bringing interest in becoming US citizen. So we provide citizenship information session. So people can come and learn about from USCIS community outreach coordinator. Her name is Rosa Ramirez. Okay? Then she comes to Korean Community Center, especially Uri Junto's office, provide the information session, how to become a US citizen, what kind of requirements you need. So next time maybe we are going to visit USCIS Houston office. So that case people get familiar the environment, right? So I think everything is good, exposed to other people to these kind of things. So if you are familiar with these kind of things, you will not have fear, or then everything become more comfortable and easy. So my point is just, I like to use this existing system to make more comfortable or confident. So we can use these kind of things without even we do not speak good English. So if you have some assistant help, you can have these kind of things without problem. Making life easy, that is my goal.
Is there a difference between the services you provide to the Latino community and the services you provide to the Korean community? Are there any overlaps, or are there any differences?
Okay. we started last year, July. So we did not have any capacity yet. Okay. But what we like to do is like a immigration service. I think many people need it. And then this is our dream, 우리 훈더스 organizers dream. We want to have a removal defense attorney in step. So whenever people who has a court of appearance order for deportation, we go there, fight for them.
Yeah,
Fight for them.
That's a very good goal, and it's definitely something that has been in the news frequently for different communities, especially the Latino community.
So
Go ahead.
That is how we work with the Latino community. But we are already doing a lot of work with the Latino community, but we do not provide the service. That is true, but we collaborate a lot of things with the Houston Lead, with the undocumented immigrant community. Whenever there is a rally, we go there, and then just the Houston Lead has a project. So now we can have enhanced library card as a form of ID. So undocumented community members go to the library and then get this kind of enhanced library card. It has photos and name and address and gender, birthday, almost every information. That one can be used as a form of ID, like Texas driver's license in Harris County. So when they pull over by police, they can show these kind of things. Then they cannot be deportable. Okay, they cannot be deported. So these kind of things we other immigrant community, especially Latino community, closely. Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the challenges of founding Wuri Juntos, the challenges of starting these services?
At the beginning, always it's okay. So let others know 우리 훈tos exist, right? That is challenging. But now we do. Recently, we sent 21,000 community survey to all throughout Texas to Korean Americans. So we try to figure out what is our need, what kind of service they want, what is the most important issue in our community, right? So we are doing this process. So we are already collected more than 500 community survey response. Our goal is $3,000, not 3,000, 3,000 response. So I think possible that we need to know, we need to let others know about these surveys exist. We need to collect this survey and then let them know we exist. So we provide the services what they need. That kind of things is challenging. Another thing is to reach out youngsters. So a lot of seniors help this response. But we want to reach out to youngsters too, you know, so they can learn about our community, and then eventually someday they want to solve a community, right? So that kind of things is our challenge, reaching out to youngsters meaningfully, so they can actually solve our community.
Mm. All right. And then I guess we can move on to some questions about the pandemic and about current events. Um, how have you been during the pandemic, during COVID-19? What have been some major changes that you've made in your life?
Sonia, for me, pandemic was a blessing. Pandemic happened, what is it, during before census started, okay? So we prepared for census for year before, okay? So we are well prepared, but pandemic, we cannot meet. So my plan was, everything was in-person plan, but because the pandemic, we have to stop everything. We couldn't do. Okay? We have to shift everything to digital world. But somehow we still managed. Okay, so when pandemic started, we started, what can we do? So we started making mask of hope. We made masks. Back then, we didn't have enough masks, right? So we started making masks with what is it? White shirt. Your father wear the white shirt, white shirt. We went to dry cleaners shop, and then collected that kind of shorts. People who do not pick up for many years, right? So with that, we made a mask, and then we also bought. Back then, there was not enough elastic. To put in ear, right? We did not have we couldn't find the materials, but somehow we figured out. We used the bed sheet. We bought a lot of bed sheet and then cut into side, the right side. That's a lot of work, but we made a mask and donated police station, fire station, and U.S. Coastal Guard, and then our seniors. So because of the pandemic, we thought about how I think many people face difficulties because they lost jobs, right? So our Korean community raised some money to help people. So whoever come to our community center to collect their checks, we always ask them to fill out the census. So with that, a lot of always organizing moment, even pandemic. So when pandemic hit hard, everywhere stopped, but I never stopped. I worked harder. So that is how 우리 hunters can be born, So because me and my volunteers, my friend, we work hard for community. So people see that we are valuable partner. So we become a National Korean American Service and Education Consortium, Texas chapter. That is 우리 hunters. It happened during the pandemic. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess that is, the pandemic has been pretty horrible for a lot of people, but it does give motivation to do a lot of things like the census, making masks, and volunteering. So,
Mhm.
and what about your personal life? How has your family life or your association with friends, talking, hanging out with friends, how has that been affected by the pandemic?
Pandemic. My okay, we did not go out to meet people for a long time, you know. During the pandemic, my family, just my husband's health wasn't quite good. So it's very hard. So health-wise for my, well, not corona, but other health issues.
Mhm.
But we are just still grateful and managing treatment. I'm go to treatment and yeah, be grateful to be alive.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I know just, yeah, managing other health issues during the pandemic has been hard because hospitals and clinics have, in the beginning, were shut down. So,
Mm.
all right.
During this my husband, okay, my husband had doctor's visits and many things. I really realized the importance of having health insurance, good health insurance. The cheap health insurance, that kind of things, it's nothing. So health insurance is so important. So I think everybody will agree with this. When you are sick, you have to worry a lot of things, but you have to worry about how to pay your bill. That is really not good. But having good health insurance is so important. Once again I realized it during this difficult time.
Mhm. Yeah. So I guess we're one of those working towards Medicaid and helping seniors get Medicaid is a good step towards getting everybody insured with good health insurance.
That's correct.
Mhm. What changes out of the pandemic do you think are going to persist? Like us meeting on Zoom or wearing masks? What changes because of the pandemic do you think are going to continue after the pandemic?
I think it's a lot of people now easing. They what is it? Put down their guard, but still pandemic is exists.
Mm-hmm.
But my case is I like to use a mask whenever a lot of people sitting together. So I always encourage that kind of things in our community event. A lot of people use a mask. Also, yes, I think it will be difficult to go back to the before pandemic quickly, right? So we are so used to meet Zoom. But I prefer personally everything is in person, just but I cannot prevent it just changes. This kind of changes coming, so we have to adopt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zoom was really useful for meeting people like us who are maybe quite far away, but it has diminished a little bit on social interactions between people.
Mhm. But without Zoom, how can we meet? If you have a news conference in LA, we cannot go, but still we can attend the meeting through Zoom. This is a good thing about having Zoom. But we have to have a good internet connection.
Yes, very, very important. And then I guess in relationship to voter turnout and community engagement, how has the pandemic affected voter turnout, voter accessibility? How do you feel like changes have been made, or for better or for worse as a result of the pandemic?
Of course, pandemic affect everything, So I'm also I have to pay attention, be careful when I hold the event, like a get out the vote event, Even because when it affects a lot, so I really cannot really encourage people to get out the vote, but the moderation, just not, I do not advertise it too big to get out the vote event. So I'm afraid they become sick or catch COVID during the polling location, So everything is slow. Slow. But most important thing is because SB1, voter suppression law, it's very difficult to because it's very difficult to promote this kind of event, get out the vote. Korean American early voting day. Okay. So because we have to fill out the form, and then we have to say what kind of relationship I have with this person. Sometimes when I have a Korean American early voting days, I do not know them, They come to vote, but they need assistance. So, but I do not know their name. Maybe I know their face sometimes because they came to vote before, right? So, but I do not have these kind of things. So it is difficult to do my work, actually. Encouraging community members get out the vote. It's very difficult to do because I have to sign the paper, because I did not coerce and persuade this person choose me as their voter assistant. But by doing so, I am actually, I didn't coerce, but they make me choose as their voter assistant, right? So these kind of things are a little bit tricky. So I have to be careful. But May runoff election, we did a little bit, we have a plan there. So people come to our office, and then they check their sample ballot, and then just we showed how to use a machine. When we visited Harris County website, there is a how to use a machine video. So we saw several times that video, so to understand easily, right, what to expect. And then just so few people, I really know them by their name. Okay, so that case, I really do not coerce pressure them to choose me as a voter assistant. That is very tricky because SB1 is hard to actually encourage people come out to vote. When they need assistance, so I cannot. It is difficult for me figuring out.
Yeah. All right. And then kind of moving into questions about your identity. Would you identify yourself Korean, Korean American? What would you say to that?
Most of all, I am un-American. I want to identify as me as an un-American. But when you go down, okay, un-American, Asian American, and I am a Korean American.
Okay. And then could you talk about your family life? Talk about your husband. How many children do you have? How old are they?
So I have my husband. His name is David Norman. And I have two sons. Should I tell their name?
You can say if you're comfortable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable. Alex and Joseph Norman. They are 19 and 21, almost 20 and 22. My older one is Joseph Norman is the older one. He graduates college with a master's degree a few weeks ago, actually last week. So now he's in New York. Okay. And then my younger one is also college student who study. Who study. My husband, of what I am doing. He supported everything what I do, what I ask him to do.
That's good. Yeah. All right. And then how do you motivate your sons and your husband to vote? Are they, because of your engagement with the community, are they really passionate as well about voting and being involved?
In my family, voting is a must. A must. Okay, for example, last week, my son has to go to New York on Friday. Okay, so he does not have time to vote on Friday. So I really, I told my kid on Thursday, okay, my son went to somewhere, he came around 6 o'clock. I told you, you do not have time. So you have to go to vote, KD library. But they went there around 6:30. They voted. These kind of things. Maybe I do not. They are not like enthusiastic like me, but they know this. They have to listen to their mother. So I told them, go there, vote. After that, you have a sticker and then take a picture and send it to me. Okay. So when they came home and then with the sticker, Sonia, do you see over there sign?
Yes.
I took a picture and then I posted social media. So we vote. I voted. Okay. The youngsters did not participate much. So I try to encourage people. Voting is important. So yeah.
Yeah, leading by example. Is
Mm.
All right.
Hey, Sonia, I like to
Mhm.
mention this one. My sons, I do not speak good English. Speaking is also quite okay,
Mhm.
but writing is not so great. So whenever I have important message to send someone, okay, my sons and even my husband always checked spellings and then sentences. So when they read, they do not think other things or what she's talking about, right? So always, even one midnight, when I call my son, my older one, he come down check for me. So they, uh, they are really my supporter. I think my editor and then speech writer too.
Yeah, that's very nice of them. Very sweet of them to help out. Out of curiosity, do you speak to your sons in Korean, Spanish, or English? How do you
Oh, we speak just English.
English? Okay. Mhm. All right. And then could you just give your thoughts about the Korean community in Houston or the Asian American community in Houston in general? What are your thoughts? What are your hopes to how it will change? And, what are your hopes to see in the future?
Houston and Harris County is very diversity community, right? So we Asians are really growing number. So we need we can play important role in here when we work together. So for me, Korean community is tend to just stick that is I understand because we have a limited English. We do not speak their language. This is comfortable, just staying within community, right? So, but our older generation, that is okay. But youngers like me, so we need to work together. Chinese community and Vietnamese community and other Indian community, Pakistani, also there we have a lot of refugee community in here. So when we work together and help each other, so we build our community and then we can rise together. So we can elect our own choice of elected officials in city and in county and then even statewide. So I do not know when it will be, but that kind of future I'm hoping. Okay. So for us is, yes, we are doing okay, a lot of people, but that's not always true. We have some people are left behind. For my focus is those people, okay? Sonia, I'm already telling this. Sonia, you do not need my help, right? So, but someone need our help. So seniors, low-income family, and recent immigrant, undocumented immigrant, they need our help. So they can also live like us as American. But because I think we are Americans. I am American, you are American, we are Americans. So my interest is how we can live here better as American. That is my goal. So that is what I am trying to do. So always to think we share common interest and our destiny. I sound like politicians. Our destiny is just so we need to have say about our destiny. Okay, we cannot silent because so many things happen in this Texas. We cannot be silent. If we are silent, they will talk. They will write our history for us.
Yeah, that's a very good message. And I guess kind of goes really well with the purpose of this archive and doing this interviews to record the histories of Asian Americans in Houston so that history can be written by us instead of by others.
Oh, I'd like to mention this one. We Asian Americans, we really need to think civic engagement important, and then public service is also very important. Okay, from the very beginning, when I go to elementary school or middle school, Americans are only talking about how to serve others, how to raise money for people, for fire department, police department who has cancer or like this. I think our kids are growing like this. We need to nurture them, and then sometimes they need to stand up, and then do things for our community. Just our young leaders like you, just we need to find young leaders and then provide that kind of opportunity, to help and serve community and become a community leader. And
Yeah, that's something that a lot of young people should definitely be nurtured towards to make a better future. And so I guess second to last question, is there any message that you would like to leave for, say, your great-great-grandchildren, people interested in pursuing public service? If they were ever to see this archive and learn more about your story, what would you like to tell them?
What I like to say is Asians, we are considered as foreigners, right? But I came late, okay? I came here 20 some years, but my ancestor, Korean ancestor, came to Hawaii 100 years ago, built Hawaiian plantation. We worked and built Hawaii. And then Korean people came to California. Our one of early pioneer, Dosan Anchang-ho, came to United States when Korea was under Japanese occupation. What he did is building community and helping country to become independent. When we know this kind of history, we are not foreigners. We are Americans. So whoever say we are foreigners, because they do not know our history. So I'm not foreigner. I am an American. They are Americans. My sons of course they are Americans, okay? They have root in this country.
Yeah, that's a very good message. Creating unity.
I only talk about Koreans, but others, Chinese community, Japanese community, what they endured in this country, right? So our history go more than 100 years ago. So we are not foreigners.
Yeah. All right, and then I guess for our final question for today, is there anything else you would like to add? Anything you can think of? Anything else that I didn't ask or you would like to mention?
I think why don't you ask question? That is easy for me.
Okay. All right, then in that case, thank you so much, Mrs. Norman, for joining me today in this interview. Really enjoyed learning more about your life and about how you've been working for the community.
Okay. Thank you, Sonia.